We know now at this point that Trump has some sort of underlying medical condition that they are not telling us about. They're not telling us what it is. He's not telling us what it is. His doctors aren't telling us what it is. The White House is not telling us what it is. So what could it be? Let's get into it. Let's go over what's been going on with Trump and his health. But first, make sure to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and share it with your friends. And I really appreciate all the support. We know that Trump was diagnosed with chronic venous insufficiency, and this only happened after tons of social media posts and public pushback to get him to reveal that after we kept seeing his swollen ankles and his bruised hands, all of which are abnormal. So we know he's got those three things going on. We also know that on his foreign trips and just here domestically, that he's had slurred speech at times, trouble walking with balance, and we've noticed that there's things underneath his pants. I've reported on this extensively, whether it's a catheter, leg braces, people have noticed and we've seen that there are things underneath his clothing. He's at times had a droopy face, and he's been given the short stairs now to board Air Force One. So it appears he's not able to get up the normal set of stairs. He's also been asking to sit down in meetings now instead of standing. Now, when we get his physical exam results, they all come off as him being perfectly healthy. And we know now that that's just simply not true. And he's now had 2 annual physical exams in 1 year. And then they came and said, oh, it's a semi-annual exam after the press called him out on it. There was a period in early September around Labor Day where he went missing and wasn't seen on camera for days. And it appears that the press was releasing, or the White House was releasing, old photos of him going golfing. Now, he had this surprise trip that was unscheduled, really, to Walter Reed Hospital, where he had advanced imaging tests done, according to his doctors, and other routine testing, all of which they say he passed. Now, what we are learning new is that he had an MRI. Trump said this himself on Air Force One.
The readout from Walter Reed mentioned advanced medical imaging. Did you get an MRI? Can you tell us what that was?
I did. I got an MRI. It was perfect. Yeah.
Can you tell us
I gave you the full results. We had an MRI, and in the machine, the whole thing.
Yeah.
And it was perfect. Yeah.
Can you say what in particular they were looking for?
You could ask the doctors. In fact, we have doctors traveling with us. But
the MRI was never reported in anything we saw about his exam at Walter Reed. And he also mentioned, while on Air Force One, that he had to take a cognitive test, and originally called it a IQ test and challenged AOC to take the test he took. He called it an aptitude test at one point, but said it's really a cognitive test. But it's a test to test for dementia, for early signs of dementia. So why the hell is President Trump having an MRI and cognitive tests? We deserve to know. This is a national security issue. This guy has the nuclear codes. If he's going to possibly become incapacitated in some way, or has some deep underlying medical issue that could be a threat to his life, we deserve to know. What makes this all so hypocritical is the way they treated Biden during his presidency, when he was just showing signs of aging, and they really came down hard on him for every little thing. And now that times 10 is happening to Trump. Now, getting an MRI is not part of a routine physical exam. They only do those unless there's a reason for it. So he must have some sort of underlying condition or showed signs of something that triggered them to have to give him an MRI to check it out. Listen to what this doctor on CNN had to say about it.
The big question is what prompted his MRI. So what symptoms were they concerned about? What particular type of MRI was performed? Was it a brain MRI? Was it a cardiac MRI? Was it an MRI of his spine, of his prostate? What prompted a concern that would take him in a relatively unscheduled way to Walter Reed for this testing. Why didn't they tell us that? Why didn't they disclose that he was tested when Dr. Barbarella issued his report after the president's visit? And now, why won't they tell us exactly what was tested, why the testing was performed, and the results? I think without that, then there's really no trust.
I do want to ask you whether it could have anything to do with the bruising that we saw in photos of the president's hands, or the swelling of his legs, of his sort of ankles. Could an MRI be used to try to detect what is causing that?
Perhaps not, for the bruising itself. Typically, when I see bruising on the back of someone's hands, and I see this every week in clinic, it's typically in somebody who's on a blood thinner, but we've not been told that the president is taking a blood thinner. But you take a blood thinner for a variety of underlying conditions, things like atrial fibrillation, pulmonary embolism, deep vein thrombosis. None of that has been disclosed to the public. And for some of those conditions, one might end up getting an MRI.
Just so many questions about why this test has been done, and we are getting no answers. And the other big question I have is, why is Trump talking about the tests that he's taken now, when they're supposed to be keeping this hidden and secret from the public, and then he's going out and telling people about it? Could that itself be a sign of dementia, that he's forgetting what they're supposed to be lying about and just talking about things he's not sure and can't remember that he's not supposed to be talking about? I mean, this whole thing with Biden and Trump is just a prime example of how we cannot have someone serve as president that is in their late 70s. It's the hardest job on the planet. You work nonstop. It's extremely stressful. You have to be up physically to the challenge. And quite frankly, both men were not up for it. But we were given the options we were given, and we had to make a choice. But this is why there needs to be serious reforms going forward, and there needs to be a cap on the age for how old you can be to run for president. That's just my personal opinion. Let me know what you guys think. Should there be a cap, an age limit on someone running for president? There's this question too of, should a president have to be totally transparent with their health? I mean, we have HIPAA laws. That stuff is supposed to be private for people, but should it be different for the president of the United States? Should we be privy to all that information to know that the person running our country and has the nuclear codes is in good health or not? Comment what you think, like this video, share it, spread the word, follow, subscribe, and I will see you guys back here for the 411, and let me know what you guys think is going on with Trump in the comments. I'd love to hear your thoughts.